A number of years ago, I went to a Major League Baseball game with a friend. I haven't gone to very many since. It's not really my sport. I tend to like sports where people hit each other, but that's for a different sermon. Anyway, I went to this game with this particular friend because my friend's favorite player was chasing some sort of record that summer. I don't know, most runs batted in, most hits. It's not important exactly what it was. All you need to know is that that evening it was anticipated that this player would very quickly surpass the record. And then he didn't. His team was having a rough night, and the game dragged on in the way that only a baseball game can. And finally, even though it was very late in the evening, it was only the bottom of the sixth, and my friend, who hadn't budged from their seat all evening, said, "You know what, I'm just going to get up real quick, get a hot dog, I'll be right back." And as soon as my friend left their seat, their team got hot. They moved through the batting order very quickly, and all of a sudden, the player that they had been there to watch all evening got a home run. At least, I think he did. I don't know. I mean, I was sitting right there, but I wasn't really interested or paying attention, which was a particularly cruel irony when my friend returned, looked glumly at the scoreboard, and said to me, "Well, what did I miss?" It's unlikely that Thomas is out getting a hot dog because, counter to what's implied in the Gospel of John, the disciples are in fact also the Jews, and it's still Passover, so they're not even going to eat the bun. While everyone is in that upper room hiding away, though, it is only Thomas who is brave enough to go out, to be out in public on that Easter Sunday. I don't think I've ever read a scripture commentary that gives him credit for that. Never mind that you demonstrated singular moral courage, Thomas, your timing sucks. And when he walks back in, perhaps he says, "Well, what did I miss?" And they say, "Well, we have seen the Lord." "Thomas, we have seen the Lord." And he responds with these words for which he is best known in Scripture. "Unless I see the mark of the nails and touch them, unless I put my hand in the spot in his side where they speared him, I will not believe." Scripture commentaries also never seem to mention how weird and gross Thomas's demand is, and I'm going to skip over that too, because I think what is far more interesting here is what has been said about this text. That Thomas is the doubting Thomas, and that he is to be contracted from the faithful disciples. And that unlike Thomas, who says that he needs to see Jesus for himself, we are blessed for having never seen, but believing anyway. I get why throughout Christendom so many people have enjoyed ragging on Thomas, because we've all been in meetings with this kind of guy, with the one who just won't go along while everyone else sees possibility, while everyone else is trying to get on board with a new way of doing things. There's usually one person who said, "I don't think this is going to work," or "I won't believe it until I see it." That can be exhausting, but I want to make a distinction here. The opposing voice is only problematic when it's seeking to shut everything down. When the voice says, "Don't bother looking, I already know that there's nothing worth seeing here," that's not doubt, that's cynicism. That's cynicism, and we slip into that all the time because cynicism costs us nothing. Cynicism risks nothing. The world already loves squashing possibilities, right? And we, especially those of us who are liberals, often convince ourselves that cynicism is smart, that cynicism is edgy, but cynicism really is just repackaged certainty. That's why hardline atheists and fundamentalist Christians sound so much alike, because cynicism, like certainty, doesn't allow for other possibility. It doesn't take much effort because it doesn't leave much room for anything new to break forth. But Thomas is not cynical. Because Thomas is not certain. Thomas is faithful. In the Gospel of John, he makes several appearances, his first being that when others are afraid of Jesus going to Bethany and accompanying Jesus to Bethany, Thomas says, "Let's go so that we can die with him there." Thomas has always been the faithful disciple. Thomas has been with Jesus since the beginning, but it's Mary who's gotten to see the Lord. The disciples have seen the Lord. By this point on Easter evening, the mailman has probably seen the Lord. Everyone else is having a party because everyone else has seen him. New life is springing forth everywhere, and Thomas has missed his opportunity because Thomas was the only one who was courageous enough to leave that upper room. What Thomas says to the disciples has courage in it too. Thomas says, "Jesus, didn't you know that I was also looking for you? Didn't you think that I also wanted to see you, that I needed to see you? Jesus, don't you love me enough? Don't you love me enough to have just waited till I came back?" Doubt is not the opposite of faith. Doubt is faith's continuation. It is its substance. It is its partner. Doubt, one could say, is even faith's mirrored twin, because doubt says, "I care enough to ask questions." Doubt says, if there is tension here, it is because I am still holding on to the other side of the line. Doubt says, "I haven't found it yet," which is a key part of practicing faith. If we believe that faith is showing up, always looking for the something that God is doing in this world. Doubt is a courageous choice in a world that rewards cynicism. Doubt is a courageous choice in a world that rewards cynicism. Maybe you're like Thomas. Maybe there have been moments in your life, moments in a relationship, moments even just in any given conversation when you feel like you've missed something. That's true for me. There have been times in my life when I feel like I've missed something. There have been moments in my life when I wonder if I've missed everything. When I wonder if I've lost the opportunity to follow a dream. When I wonder if a mistake that I made is too great to come back from. When I wonder if the most important things that this world has to offer have already passed me by. I confess, in those moments, sometimes I clamp down on cynicism. I say, "Oh, you know what? That dream didn't really matter. Those things weren't so important. Mistakes were made. That other person needs to get over it. I already know all that I need to about this situation." But every so often, by God's grace, we can stay open to doubt. We can commit ourselves to asking questions. We can dare to say, "I don't see it yet, but I'm still open to the possibility that new life might yet be springing forth." We could leave a little room. We could stick around for a day or a year or a cycle of years. We could show up and see what God can do. Thomas stays. Thomas stays in that room where Jesus last appeared, just not to him. Thomas stays in that room with all of those people who no doubt are celebrating what they have seen that Thomas has not. And if that's not showing up, looking for something, if that's not an act of faith, then I don't know what is. And who knows why Jesus comes back that night. And Jesus shows up and he offers them all peace, but most of them already have received it, all except Thomas, to whom Jesus uniquely offers his body. Jesus says, I even told Mary not to touch me, Thomas, but you can. Thomas, you can touch me if you need to. It's weird, but it's okay. Thomas, I see you. In all of the Gospels, there is only one who professes such clear faith in the divinity of Christ. There is only one. It is Thomas, who cries out, "My Lord and my God." Maybe that's because he was the one who kept showing up looking for something, even when it seemed to have passed him by. Maybe that's because he was the one who had faith that was strengthened by such doubt. Beloved, my hope for you is that whenever the world offers you cynicism, you would be courageous enough to doubt. My hope for you is that when the world says there is nothing new springing forth, you would have the courage to say, hey, maybe we just don't see it yet. My hope for you is that whenever you continue to show up looking for something, your doubt would reveal its other half, the faith that has been present in you all along. Thanks be to God.